Hello, I am Archivist Aaron, and welcome to my study. And today, we're not going to be playing anything, which is kind of a first for me. I think since my debut, I haven't done a single just chatting stream ever, which is very. Let me actually turn down the BGM a bit because it looks like that's about rivaling my own talking voices volume, which usually isn't an issue when there's a game going on, but I think it needs to be more of a background thing. But I realize that I haven't done a just chatting stream in a very long time because it feels very odd to me to press the chatting screen button. I don't think I've been in this screen here in like the entire time I've been streaming. I think I literally used this for the debut and then haven't been back. But now I finally have a reason to use it, I suppose. And it's also weird because I'm trying to look over at my left screen where my, where my streaming software is, because that's the only thing to look at. Whereas normally I'm looking at my, screen that's right in front of me to play a game. So that's going to take some getting used to, because I can't like face the left screen because my mic is in front of me. And if I'm not talking into the mic, it's not going to pick up my voice very well. So anyways, we are just talking because I realized that I did address it briefly in the previous stream, I think two days ago, somewhere around there, the Lethal Company stream. I talked about it a bit there near the end, but it probably didn't reach many people, honestly. So I just wanted to address that. First of all, I did take quite a bit of time off there because multiple reasons, which I did explain, but I will explain again. The first reason, which is probably the most important, was that actually, I can do this. I am dumb. I could just put my streaming software over on my main monitor. Never mind. Okay. The first reason and main reason why I took so much time off recently, where I just have not been streaming very consistently, was my older brother. He's in like active service lately. Well, lately as in like the past 5 years or something. And that makes it very hard to actually be able to spend time with him and play games with him. And he's had a lot of leave lately. I believe that he is off leave like today. I think this was his last day of leave. So I've been like really putting in time to try to play games with him rather than, actually getting sleep. And I don't know about you, but I personally don't feel like doing much of anything if I'm sleep deprived, and that includes streaming. So this last while, like probably week and a half or so, I've many days just been dead tired and not been able to really get much motivation to start the stream and all that. And if I'm being honest, today, this wasn't really the plan of just talking or anything. The main plan was I was like, oh, I could play like maybe a couple rounds of Hades. Maybe I could play some Heat Signature. That one's always fun. Maybe just go do my dailies in Asheron's Call, like that. That could be something to get a stream out today. But if I'm being honest, like, I wasn't feeling averse to streaming today. It was literally just that I don't know what to play. Like, I'm at the point where my streaming cycle it's in a bit of a dead zone, and it makes it so I don't really want to play anything in particular. So I just kind of don't. And that's a problem because you kind of need to be able to stream a game in order to stream a game, as far as I know. So not really feeling like not feeling like playing anything kind of makes it hard to do that. So last minute, literally, like, I even started the stream a bit late. I was contemplating up until like literally the time that the stream started, essentially, about, man, what should I do? What game am I playing? What's the plan here? And just last minute, I was like, you know what? Screw it. we're going just chatting. I'm just gonna ramble for like, I don't know, maybe half an hour if I even have that much to talk about. If I have more to talk about, I guess we can go longer. I don't even know. I I know there are some VTubers that can just do a just chatting stream for hours and hours, and it's like I do get that they have like an active chat of people constantly like asking stuff and then they're answering stuff and playing off what they're saying, but and it's like I don't really have that yet. So on that hand, it kind of is mystifying to me as to how they can do it and I can't. But at the same time, even just talking for that long, because like when you're playing a game, you only really need to talk half the time. But when it's just a talking stream, it's like, well, you kind of need to talk all the time. You know, there's nothing else happening other than you talking. So it would probably strain my voice roughly double the amount that it would playing a game. But yeah, it's just mystifying to me how people can do that. But maybe someday, maybe if I get like a really active chat and I can just continually play off them for hours, maybe then I would be able to do just chatting streams for that long. But we're not at that point yet. We're certainly not. Plus, I mean, that would be a very good option for days that I don't feel like playing anything, but for the most part, I play a lot of games, so I don't think I'd ever become a just chatting main streamer, you know, because at certain points I would just always want to be playing games, and at other points I'd just want to be talking, so I'd probably be pretty on and off with it. But yes, I'm not sure going forward what games I'll be playing. I'm just gonna need to play it by ear and wait, and eventually the cyclical nature of the gaming cycle will eventually work itself out, and I'll find a game that I'm like really passionate about playing again. Because like the couple games that I really liked playing thus far was Dark Souls, which I played for, I don't know, a couple weeks at least straight of just streaming Dark Souls and doing like the regular runs and then some challenge run things, and it was really fun. But then I got bored of it and I moved on. And then there was Mountain Blade Bannerlord, and that was really fun, and I had a lot of good times doing that. But then my save file got kind of soft locked because I decided to make my own kingdom, and then everyone declared war on me at once, and that just made it impossible to make any progress. And I even off stream for hours tried to get myself out of that mess. I kept reloading things, I kept like fighting different fights in different ways, I tried attacking, I tried defending, nothing worked. So it was literally just like a losing battle. Last I checked, last I remember, I had Tial, which was the last city that I had left in the entire game. I had gone down from like 3 cities and a couple castles to 1 city, and that's it. And the only reason I still had that city is because my entire personal army was sitting there camping the city, just doing 50 defensive battles anytime someone came in. And I mean, sure, eventually, if I just camped out at that city eternally for like 20 hours, I probably could beat down every army that came at me in defensive sieges, because if you do a defensive siege right, you'll never lose it. So, in theory, I could hold that city eternally and eventually beat every other country into submission. But the issue is the more tribute I'm asking from all these kingdoms, the more likely they are to declare war on me again, and it just doesn't work. So I stopped playing it for a while. I'm just like, you know what, I was really happy playing this game, but I need to take some time off of it. The diplomacy is just atrocious, and I know that there's mods to like fix it, but I haven't gotten into any of those yet. Definitely next time I get into playing Mountain Blade, I'll look into diplomacy mods and see what there is to remedy the situation, because honestly, it is, as I said, it is atrocious, the diplomacy, you know. I think I mentioned it during my Mountain Blade streams, but in a previous playthrough of Mountain Blade, I had actually, like, my character had married one of the sons of Mr. Corndog, Caladog, He is the ruler of Britannia, if you do not know, and my character literally married his son, and yet Britannia kept going to war with me. It's like, how do political marriages not exist in this game? How does that not, like, make him think twice about going to war with me? You know? Because that's just not how diplomacy works, or worked back then, at least. I don't think we really have political marriages nearly as much anymore, but, you know, back in the day, that was all the rage. That was how you do things. So then, after Mount & Blade, I tried to get into Crusader Kings 3, but the issue became that I just wasn't really into it, but I was really, like, craving a good diplomacy system, and I was like, oh, but in this game I can have allies. You know, imagine that. People that won't kill me the second that they, you know, look at me funny and are like, man, I could kill that one. Like, it's just, I wanted the diplomacy. I wanted to be able to have someone I could be like, that guy's my ally. If I go to war, he'll have my back. Because that's like my favorite part of Crusader Kings 3 is the really strong alliances you can build if you do it right. So yeah, maybe someday I'll play Crusader Kings 3, I don't know, and I'll definitely come back to Mount & Blade eventually. Who knows? It might take a while, because that gaming cycle I basically just got off of Mount & Blade, so it'll be probably like a year or something before I get back to it. But it is what it is, you know, we're all, well, at least I am a slave to the cycle, and you gotta just kind of ride the wave. You can't really go against it, because I have had times where I tried to fight the gaming cycle, and it does not work, at least not long term. Like, I have managed to elongate the cycle by about a week to stay on a game. Like, if my brother is really enjoying a game, I'll fight the cycle to just keep playing it with him, because I don't want to disappoint him and be like, no, I'm not feeling that game anymore, because that's, you know, that's sad. I don't want to do that. But there have been times where trying to get myself to play a specific game outside of the cycle has literally made me, like, it's given me stomach aches, it's given me, like, intense nausea and stuff, and it's like, it affects me physically if you go against the cycle. I don't know why or how. That's just how it works. So I don't make the rules here. So yeah, it's pretty tough. I just need to, as I said, ride the wave, make sure that I just stay on the cycle, and hope that another game comes up pretty soon here that, you know, actually makes me want to play it day in and day out, because that's when the streaming gets real easy, is when I'm, like, looking forward every morning to booting up a game and playing it for however many hours I want to play it that day, you know, because then it's like you get excited for it. But when you don't have a game you're wanting to play, you're like, you're just confused. You're like, what do I play? What do I do? I need to stream, but there's just not a game to play. So it is kind of brutal at times to figure out what you're doing. But yeah, so that is what partially has been going on this last week, is not feeling like playing many games. My brother was available to play a lot of stuff, so I've been doing a lot of Lethal Company with him. Additionally, for whatever reason, like, I am quite upset at the internet companies for this. But the companies, those internet companies, they'll be sitting there and they're like, oh yeah, we can get you, like, this amount of internet per second forever. This is what you're buying. And then around Christmas season, which I don't know if it happens every year, but it certainly happened this year, where it's just the internet gets so spread thin that you don't get that promised connection rate ever. It's like, I'm sitting here an hour before the stream, multiple days this last week and a half, and I was like, okay, I can't even load YouTube. You know, I'm trying to press the reload button, is just not happening. No thumbnails are popping up. It's just not even loading. And like earlier, just on New Year's, I think it was approaching the New Year's, you know, switch over, and it was like I was on Morgan Void's Minecraft server, just barely. I had one bar. I've never seen this before, I don't think, where you hold tab and you see at the top of the screen all the players and they have like the little connection bars next to them. My connection bar was at 1, and it was just one little red bar. And I was like, that's not good. And I had a game, or like a video of someone else playing Lethal Company on my other screen, and it wasn't loading. It was at 144p, and it wasn't loading. So all my internet, 100% of the internet's bandwidth that I was getting was going towards just keeping me barely connected to that Minecraft server, just so my auto smelter could, you know, do its thing. And it was painful. But, you know, it did go away after a few hours. I think it was like 1 o'clock in the morning when my internet recovered and then I could actually play again. But it's like, why do the internet companies just get away with saying that you're gonna get this connection? It might just be that I have a cheaper internet plan. Maybe if I got like a really fancy internet plan, they could actually give me like priority on the internet bandwidth, and thus I wouldn't need to deal with it. But as I am now, it just, this last week and a half leading up to, you know, between like Christmas and New Year's, pretty much has just been absolutely horrendous internet connection, and I don't know why exactly. It's like, just it doesn't do this the rest of the year. It's just this period. I mean, maybe summer would be bad. Maybe it's just that it's like winter break or something, and all the kids are home playing on their iPads and taking up all the bandwidth. But who knows? In the end, any day that I was sitting there not able to load YouTube, I was like, am I gonna be able to stream? Because as I said in the Lethal Company stream, it's like, I don't want to start a stream if it's just gonna be on and off and on and off and not working, and I'm gonna be sitting there like disconnecting and reconnecting to the internet trying to get it to like connect better, but it just never does. And I've had streams like that on accident before where I didn't realize how bad the internet was before the stream, and it was just painful the entire. I think a couple of my Dark Souls streams were like that, where it just isn't connecting right, and I don't know how to fix it, and for like 10 minutes I'm sitting there just trying to troubleshoot my internet, and it just is being painful. And that's not a good feeling. You don't want to you don't want to have to deal with that on stream. You don't want those kinds of distractions and delays, and it just makes you feel bad and unprofessional, you know? So I was trying to avoid that partially. So I think those are like the main factors that went into me not streaming very much. And I kind of wish that there was, I don't really have a large enough audience, I don't think, to make it worthwhile to like start a Discord or anything. But I know whenever Morgan Void can't make it to their scheduled streams, they put out an announcement on Discord. And I mean, personally, I feel like I'm not even big enough yet that many people are like waiting and relying on my stream to be on time. I don't know exactly what that threshold will be. You know, I don't know at what point will I feel compelled to stream at the right time because there are people waiting on me. But, you know, as of now, I was just like, you know, it's not really all that important. You know, there's probably just gonna be 1 or 2 people that pop in during the stream and then leave a little bit later, and it probably doesn't matter too much to them yet, so we'll just take the day off kind of thing. And, you know, that's that. It's not a huge deal at this point, but, you know, in a little while, you know, if I keep growing at the same rate, or hopefully at an advanced rate, you know, I mean, the rate we've been going has been perfectly fine thus far, but I do hope that it picks up, because faster is always better. And yeah, but if we keep moving at the same rate or a faster rate, we're gonna end up with possibly a lot of people that are actually tuning in, and then it will matter that people know whether or not I'm streaming that day. So I'll need to figure out some way to get that out there. And I could just like make a tweet anytime, even though I haven't even touched X, aka Twitter type thing, in months now, because I'm really not a social media type of person. I tried to force myself to do it in the month leading up to my debut, hoping to get some kind of interaction before then. But since then, I was like, it's just a lot more comfortable for me to just stream and not have to deal with social media, because honestly, it is difficult for me to do that kind of thing. I am like a giga introvert, I do not like to interact with people directly like that. It gives me lots of anxiety. So, I'm honestly kind of surprised I can talk freely and act freely on stream, because it's almost like it's disconnected. I don't feel like I'm really talking directly to people. It's like I can almost make chat itself one entity, one person, and then it's like a one-on-one conversation, which I'm perfectly fine with. But with social media, it's almost like you're in a crowd that you can't see. You're constantly, everything you do, anything you tweet is visible to everybody, but then at the same time, no one really cares all that much, because you're just one voice in an entire cacophony of social and political conversation. And it's just stressful. I don't like crowds. It feels way too, busy for me. So that's probably why I would stray away from actually posting on there like, oh, I can't make it to the stream today because of X, Y, and Z. I think I'm just more comfortable not streaming, just being like, they don't need an announcement. It'll be like 11:10 and they'll know that I'm not going to show up, it's fine. But definitely, if I feel the need to, at a certain point, to actually be able to like announce when I'm not going to be able to stream, I'll probably just get a Discord and do the same thing that like Void and Morg are doing, where they announce a couple hours before if like whether or not they'll actually be able to attend the stream, kind of thing. But not yet, because I've also been trying to avoid getting a Discord set up, because then I'm actually gonna need to moderate it, because who knows what kind of absolute degenerates are gonna show up to that, and I'm gonna need to figure out how like the bots work, maybe get other people as moderators, but most likely I'll probably just be the only moderator on there for a long time, meaning I'll need to be checking into this social climate on there. I mean, it depends on how many people actually join, but I could see it being pretty stressful to upkeep one of those things. So I've been putting it off until I know there's actually a decent number of people that would actually join it. So who knows? That's to figure out later, but hopefully in the next while I'll figure out what games I'm really wanting to play, and I'll just play those for another couple weeks, and then I'll move on to the next games, as it always goes. But for now, I have absolutely no idea. It is mystifying. Like, I can sit there and I can scroll through my entire Steam page, which, if I'm not wrong, has well over 100 games on it, and I can find absolutely nothing I want to play. It's kind of like flipping through all the channels on TV and there being nothing good on. I've liked these games at one point in the past, but as of right now, I just don't feel like any of them. And it's such a weird feeling, because I don't know. I mean, it used to be that when I didn't feel like playing games, I just wouldn't. But now that I'm doing a streaming thing, I feel compelled to find something I want to do, and that just is easier said than done. Although, I have been throwing around the idea of possibly doing something like writing streams, because as is right now, I was thinking that my writing and my streaming I would just do at separate times, and I would be doing them both simultaneously, just, one on stream, the other one in my spare time. But honestly, I haven't had a bunch of energy or drive to do writing lately, but I really need to, because the progression of my channel on here also relies heavily on the progression of my writing, because I myself, character-wise, am a writer. So my character development cannot progress unless I actually do some writing. And you know, there's a lot of concepts that I want to get out there. There's a lot of like lore things, because I know a lot of VTubers, they have like a good, you know, few videos of lore out there by the time they get big, and it seems that a lot of people really enjoy delving into the lore of their favorite streamers. And as a writer, personally, I could probably make some very intense lore, and I already pretty much have. I just haven't written it down yet. It's all up in my head right now. So I need to get that done. I need to get the archivist lore all written down, and you know, I would say vocalized, but it's not really vocalized if it's on paper. But you know, it needs to be actualized. It needs to be in the real world and written down so other people can know it. And I feel like that is gonna be like a good step forward for the channel. But there's also a bit of a surprise that I think I've hinted to, or at least alluded to, a couple times since my channel began, and that I am very much looking forward to. And I can't do that unless I do a heck of a lot of writing. And additionally, I was wanting to get it out maybe a couple months after I started streaming, but it's already been, what, like 4 months since I started streaming, and I've already passed that deadline that I was like, you know what, I should probably have it done by then. But that isn't fully my fault, because there was a family member who's very gifted at artistry and drawing that they said previously, like, I don't hold this against them or anything, no, don't get me wrong, but they had said previously that they were going to make me a book cover for this writing project that I am speaking of. And I think it was last Christmas that they were saying, or it was either last Christmas or it was my birthday, that they were saying that they would make me this book cover for free as my present for either Christmas or my birthday. I don't remember which one it was. And it's now either been a year if that was at Christmas, or half a year if that was at my birthday, and they have just been absolutely swamped and busy, and they haven't had any time to put towards it. So it's quite unfortunate. As I said, I don't hold it against them because I know their life is hectic, but I really, you know, you can't release a writing project of this, you know, importance without a good cover. And it's like, I don't really have the money to afford going to a professional cover designer right now. So I'm like, I either need to wait for them to make the cover, or I need to figure out some other way of doing this, which I'm not artistically, you know, inclined when it comes to the drawing aspect of art. You know, writing is pretty much the only art form I at all am proficient at. So I don't think I could really make the book cover myself unless I made it super simplistic. Like the Drew book cover for the short story I still haven't finished because I haven't felt like writing in forever now. It's very simplistic. It was just a copyright-free picture of a forest, and then I threw my logo on it and added some text, and whammo, it's a book cover. So that's like the extent of my, you know, artistic ability right there. And I do eventually need to get the writing done, though. I definitely need to finish that short story at the very least, because that has been a long time coming. And I need to start that unnamed, you know, writing project that I do not wish to reveal the, you know, nature of just yet. But it's a big one. It's probably the first big writing project I will take on. I don't know if I'll be going straight into that. I was thinking I could do a lot of smaller writing projects just to get maybe some more attention more short stories. I was even thinking like short scenes where it's not even like a full story, but it's like a action sequence of a main plot point of a larger story, but you're just kind of really dialed into that one circumstance. So you just get the character comes in, you don't know exactly what's happening, everything just unfolds in front of you, and there's a bunch of flashiness and cool stuff going on, and then that's the end of it, is just the one scene. And then I could probably make the rest of the story around that at a later time, but I don't know, I feel like as I'm making short stories and stuff like that, I'm ending up with a lot of calmer writing and a lot more downtime in the stories. And I feel like, thus far I haven't at all been able to, in the half of a short story I've written, I haven't been able to show off, very much combat. I haven't at all been able to show off my magic system, which I'm very proud of. And it's like, I want to show off those things. I want to be able to, really get that all out there and show off all this stuff that I've been mentally working on for a decade or more. And I feel like a regular short story would have a lot of downtime in it, because with a full short story you need the beginning, which might have some action or not, but you need to get in there, you need to get character development, you need to like say who the character is and go through each step, and then by the end you've got some action, the story concludes, and but there's a lot of, I don't know, I wouldn't say fluff, because that stuff is important, but at the same time it's not the stuff that I'm really wanting to emphasize and get out there. So I don't know exactly what I'll do writing wise up until I start to make that big project, but I have attempted that big project before. It just didn't go as well as I would have hoped, because I wasn't good enough at writing at that point. And that's kind of how my writing has gone the entire time. The entire like decade that I've been writing thus far, probably over a decade by this point, but it's been such a back and forth thing where I will have such big ideas and all these novels that I want to write. And then when I get down to it, I'm like, all right, time to write this thing. And then I start writing it. It's like, this isn't coming out the way I want it to. And so I'll get like maybe a chapter or two in, and then I'll delete it all and restart. Or I won't delete it all, it'll be in a separate folder, but I'll restart on a new file, a new text page, and I'll try again, get maybe 2 chapters in, restart again, because I'm like, I didn't word that right, I didn't do this right, I'm not good enough at writing yet. And every iteration I did, I was getting better and better and better every time, and I could see that. But the issue is when you get better so quickly, you end up making everything you wrote like 10 minutes ago or 10 days ago completely obsolete. And so then you're like, well, now I have 2 chapters and 90% of it is my old writing style that now I've adapted and learned and gotten better. So now all of that is bad. And that was like right at the start of my writing, up until somewhat recently. I think the short story, the Drew short story, was the first time that I really felt that my writing sounded at all professional. And I like that. I like that it's finally hitting a point where I'm like, yeah, I could release this. And that's exactly what I did. But hopefully, with this big writing project, once I do take it on, hopefully I will feel consistently that my writing is up to par throughout the whole thing, and that it doesn't change too much from chapter 1 to chapter 10, because if it does, it'll feel kind of crappy, because I want it to be consistent. I want it to make sense, and to not have the writing style completely change in the middle, because that's what I'm worried about. And of course there's editing. If I do make such a large project, I would need to edit it significantly afterwards. You know, I'd probably release it chapter at a time, and then at the end go through and do significant, not just like within the chapter editing, which is what I'd already be doing, but go through and like make sure that the voice and writing style and everything is consistent from point A to point B. Because if it isn't, that might be a bit jarring for people. But I'm still pretty much a complete novice when it comes to writing. I've not really taken any writing classes. I mean, in high school I've done like basic creative writing and English and stuff, but overall, most of my writing is just stuff that I've learned by trial and error, by just getting in there, typing things out, and throughout the various systems that auto-check your writing for grammatical errors and, you know, issues like that, I've just slowly conditioned myself to be like, okay, this sentence is just like that sentence, and it said I should put a comma here, so I need to put a comma there, and then it works. And so eventually I just learn all of these nuances of spelling and grammar and punctuation just naturally as I keep writing and writing and writing. And so yeah, I don't know if I'll ever be as good as like some really professional writers that took like a couple of years of writing classes and really know the art form, but I'm hoping that someday my just winging it kind of way of doing it will eventually get me to that level, because that's the end goal. You know, the streaming and the writing need to accompany each other, because the streaming is something that I want to do on a daily basis. You know, it's something that every day I'm like, I want to be a successful streamer. It's something that I would enjoy, something that lets me actually do the things that I enjoy on a daily basis, unlike any job that I've had previously. But then the writing, that's like it's like a bigger thing, you know? It's something that I have always wanted, something that is a lifelong goal. It's not just a daily goal that I want to get done and make progress on. It is something that I am, on a regular basis, I am afraid of dying because I have not yet finished my writing. That is the reason for my lifelong existence, is to finish this writing and to popularize it and get it out there. That, you know, it's like a short-term passion against a long-term passion. So I really need to get the writing done. I need to get in there and do it. And I have been working with the idea of maybe, I think I mentioned this just a little bit ago before going on this whole tangent, but I was thinking I could do like writing streams and just make like a short story on a stream, you know, and kind of go through the writing process. And, you know, if I just did like a chapter per stream, and, you know, short stories usually aren't even all that many chapters, so I could even just do maybe every Saturday is a writing stream, and I just go in, write a chapter, go edit it real quick, and then move on. And that would just be the one stream a week. And then within like a month, if it's a 4-chapter short story, within a month I would be able to finish that short story and then just do a final editing check on it and release it. The only issue, the thing that's been holding me back from doing that, is one, I haven't really gotten any widespread feedback as to if that's something people would actually want to watch. And additionally, another issue that comes up is if people are there for the entire writing process of the story, then what exactly are they going to be reading the story for later? Because if they were there hearing me write out every fight scene, every plot twist, every, you know, situation that happens, they're already going to know the entire story, like, by heart, because I'll probably have to go over things a couple times anytime I write it, because I'll need to, like, first go over it and write it, and then probably revise it a couple times, and then edit it, and then it's like, by then, you'll know every story as well as I do, maybe. and then there's just no reason for anyone to actually read the story afterwards unless they completely missed the streams. I don't know. But that was an idea that was bouncing around, and I thought that could be quite fun, at least for me, because then I can be kind of conjoining my writing with my streaming and do them both at once. Because as I said, with how it's been going, trying to do the writing separately from the streaming, I've been putting all my energy into this daily schedule of streaming that I then end up with not enough energy to actually do the writing in my off time. You know, I just kind of want to sit there and watch YouTube in my off time because I've already spent all of that, you know, social energy on streaming. So trying to do them separately, I don't know how well that'll work. And I'm assuming the assumption I went into this with was that the better I got at streaming and the more comfortable I got with it, the less energy it would take overall, and thus I could do the writing in addition to it after a certain point. The issue is I don't know when that point will be, but I've certainly seen myself getting more and more comfortable with streaming. I can talk a lot more. Like right now I've been talking for like 40 minutes and I've just been kind of just letting loose, just doing whatever I want, talking about whatever I want, whatever comes to mind. And I haven't once thought of like, you know, I'm in front of people, I'm talking, I'm, you know, in a social situation, I haven't gotten nervous or anxious about it. So it's like, I'm getting a lot better at the streaming just over time as I get more comfortable with it. But I just don't know when that will pivot to being able to do both the writing and the streaming simultaneously in, you know, separately, but in the same day. And it all depends on the cycles as well, like if I feel like doing writing, because it is mystifying to me how this works, but I have had times where I have tried to force the cycle to stay on writing for even a longer time or permanently even, and it just doesn't work, like at all. I don't know why it does this, but I have had times where I would sit down when I'm not feeling like writing, and I would write for 2 hours. You know, it's a good writing session, and I would get maybe 1 or 2 paragraphs done, and they're both nearly illegible. And I don't know why this happens. Like, you would think if my brain, on a good day, could come up with good, legible, understandable writing, why is it on a bad day, when I try to force myself to do writing, that everything that comes out is just absolute, like, gibberish? I don't know what happens. I think it's like some kind of intense form of writer's block that comes in because I'm trying to do it off cycle. You know, I need to, but then sometimes, like just recently, well, not recently, but when I was writing that short story, I got like a big burst of inspiration for it, and I was able to make 2 chapters real quick. Like one of those chapters I wrote and edited in a day. Like literally, I think it was a Sunday, or no, it might have been 2 days. It might have been Saturday I wrote it, Sunday I edited it. But either way, I wrote that thing over the weekend super easily and quickly, and all of it I felt was I wouldn't say some of my best writing, but certainly some very good writing compared to my previous works. And it's like, how does that happen? How is it that some days I can write like multiple pages, like a couple thousand words, and they're all really good, and I just go through, write it, edit it, publish it. But then other times I can spend 2 hours staring at the page, getting nothing done, and just writing out gibberish at best. Like that shouldn't be the thing that the same person can do within close proximity of each other. You know, like it's almost like I just instantly get some kind of crippling mental disorder, like I'm just forgetting how to do everything for a certain amount of time, and then when I get inspired to write again, all of a sudden my skills come back and I can actually write again. So I don't know what the issue with it is. It's incredibly bizarre to me. But hopefully someday I figure out the way around that, the way to solve that issue, because As it is, I can only write periodically, and that doesn't really make it isn't conducive to a consistent writing schedule. And I kind of need that if I'm going to be getting any significant amount of writing done within my lifetime. You know, at this rate, I would maybe finish 1 or 2 novels and then I would die. You know, I need to step it up a bit. And that's only really possible if I can somehow tie the writing, at least to a small degree, to my streaming. You know, so I'll keep marinating on the idea of doing a writing stream, and maybe I'll do kind of a test run at some point, see how that goes. But who knows? We'll figure that out. But either way, that's about all I wanted to rant about, was the games, like the reason I was gone, the game situation, and then my writing. And that was pretty much the big bullet points that I wanted to talk about. I went on a bunch of rabbit trails though, and just veered off in every direction, but that's just how my brain works. That's what I think about, is just a billion rabbit trails all the time. But we're gonna be leaving that there. It was nice to be able to actually use the just chatting room, because, you know, you look at it, there's the nice shiny window in the back. You know, we got the nice swaying plants and glimmering particles in the sky and all that. It's very nice. I do like the background we got here, but I don't ever really get to use it because, you know, I'm usually playing games. So, and even when I'm writing, I'll probably be using the gaming background and just have my writing up instead of the game. So who knows? We'll see how that goes. I'll need to figure that all out. But yeah, I'll end the stream right about here, because there's probably plenty more I could talk about, but my throat's already getting sore from all this talking. Because as I said, you talk a lot when you're just talking. If you're playing a game and talking, it's not as much, but I have been talking quite a significant amount this last almost 50 minutes now. So I'm just gonna leave that there, and we'll get back to things next time, which I think is Wednesday, because I think today is Tuesday, right? But hopefully by tomorrow I will have figured out something I want to play. Who knows? We'll see how it goes. There's no way I can really predict it. So yeah. Anyways, let's go to the ending screen, I suppose. That is probably a good first step, and then I move the background music back to its regular volume. Yeah, that's it. So I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.